Hey, my name's ShawNshawN. I sell art on ShawNshawN.co. Today we're going to review Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. So this is a film by Sam Raimi. Time is 2 hours, 6 minutes, so they really cut it short. A lot of these Marvel movies will go 2 hours and a half, so they've kind of cut this back. I like an hour and a half, but I think because it's a very complex set of plot twists here and there, a lot of different characters, 2 hours is probably okay, I think. And it actually feels they could have let some scenes breathe a little bit more. So I think they did cut pretty close to the bone. Actors are Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange. Elizabeth Olsen plays Wanda Maximoff. Chiwetzel Ejiofor plays Baron Mordo. Benedict Wong plays Wong. Who would have thought a Wong plays a Wong? Xochiti Gomez plays America Chavez. Rachel McAdams plays Dr. Christine Palmer. So you have Doctor Strange has this really weird reoccurring dream, and it turns out that's actually the multiverse, a view into the multiverse, and a young girl, America, is being chased by this evil red witch across different universes to steal her powers so that the witch can become a mother again, and Doctor Strange must save the girl and stop her at all costs. So there's many strange plot twists back and forth all over different tangents that come up in this different movie, but it's Doctor Strange, so I guess it's okay if it's strange, right? So you don't really know where the plot's going, so it's really great, has a really good comic book feel to the movie. There's this funny idea of a third eye that actually pops up in Doctor Strange head at some point. It's just hilarious. That comes from Buddhism. Buddhism has this kind of symbolic third eye where you can see through your mind through a kind of a symbolic third eye. It's interesting because the communists, especially in China, made fun of the Buddhists when they were destroying Buddhism. They just said, oh, look at these crazy people with a third eye. So it's kind of like an ode to communism in a way if you think about it, which is kind of sad because it's supposed to be this really cool connection with Tibetan culture, but because of China's power in Hollywood, they kind of whitewash it basically and get rid of the kind of Tibetan direct feel to a more generic Tibetan feel. There's also, Wong is Chinese in this film. He's obviously Han Chinese. In the comic books, he would have been Tibetan because it's a Tibetan master, which originally was played by actress Tilda Swill or something. I can't remember her name. Swilton. But she's actually supposed to be Tibetan with the long whiskers and everything. Typical, stereotypical, and they just totally got rid of the Tibetan guy to satisfy China, and they put it with a white woman, so it's just like, oh my god, this is so kitschy. And now they have this Chinese guy playing another Tibetan master, which it should be Tibetan, obviously, not Chinese. So it's just kind of like they've really kind of whitewashed the Tibetans out of this like completely Tibetan idea of Doctor Strange. So it's just really odd that they did that, but it's just obviously they make so many sales out of China, so they kind of have to keep the CCP happy. The other really strange thing is they retreat at some point to kind of the Tibetan monastery where kind of the origin of the Tibetan masters that taught Doctor Strange live. And there you have a whole smorgasbord of people, black people and Asian people and I don't know what. And it really just looks like kind of a multi-caste, multicultural America in Tibet versus the actual Tibetans that would be there would be mostly 99% Tibetan, probably. That would make more sense, I think. But, I guess they did that same in the Batman with Nolan's Batman when he goes up in the thing. It's like there are a lot of white guys with some Tibetans mixed in or Chinese or something. So, but that was a little more authentic because at least it was half mixed. But this one is like they have a black guy in the Tibetan mountains. You're like, what black guy, goes to the damn winter? It's like, it doesn't make any sense, right? But, they got to sell tickets, so they want to try to have every particular culture in this thrown in to kind of sell the tickets. The really fun thing, too, is Doctor Strange gets to meet different variations of himself in all these different multiverse he goes to. So you can see the different turns and twists of Doctor Strange being seen as a villain in some cases, or he goes off the rails in another one, he destroys a new universe in another one. So it's just really interesting the different twists and turns you could probably take, which is kind of a great reflection if you think about your own life. You could definitely take a twist turn here and there. You would end up like a completely different person. The same basic core, but then, you could study this and went in that direction, and you study that and you go in the other direction. A lot of people have that. I would say 99% of the people. There's probably 1% that just find their dream at their teenager and they just stick with it and they hit it hard. Then later they might think of other things, but they really kind of hit their true making at the beginning. But most people don't go through that, so that's a very common thread that people can relate to. You have some really fun cheap shots at Spider-Man, which this other girl doesn't know about Spider-Man, so that's kind of funny. There's obviously the ending credit scene, which they always have in a Marvel movie, and that's kind of fun. They kind of do a setup for the next Doctor Strange, so that's really cool, because there'll be another Doctor Strange, which I think this guy plays it pretty well. You have this desperation of this mother that turns in her terrible grief of having to kill her own husband and not having, and then becoming childless, and then she loses her kids. So, you know, through the multiverse, she learns like her other version of herself has kids, so then she wants to kind of take over that life, and she becomes the ultimate villain, so to say. There's a little fun cameo kind of appearance by the Fantastic Four, which is another version of one of the Marvel teams. Obviously, we've seen the Avengers, but we haven't seen Fantastic Four yet, which came before the Avengers, and there was only 4 people, and they wore number 4 t-shirts, all of them the same kind of dress. In this case, they're not using the true Fantastic Four. They're using people that could have been in the Fantastic Four, but some of the people on there aren't really the Fantastic Four, because I think one of the Fantastic Four, from what I remember off the top of my head, was Human Torch, and they don't have Human Torch here. So they have some of the elements. They have the stretchy guy. He's definitely here, but I don't think they're using the true Fantastic Four. I could be wrong, but it just seems like they switched out some of the characters. But they are 4 of them, so it's kind of a fun cameo appearance. But then they get conveniently wiped out in one shot. So, you know, we'll see if they use them in another movie, but, you know, at least you get to see a little bit of the Fantastic Four. Interesting thing is the Red Witch. In one of the scenes, she destroys this monastery kind of at the top of a mountain and destroys the whole thing. You could look at this, and if you think about it in a deeper level, it could be very symbolic because she's dressed in red and she has red power and it's very red. That it's symbolic of the CCP, which is obviously Chinese red, right? And obviously the communists will use a lot of red in their flags and everything. And so red is very connected to communism, but also the Chinese culture in general. But you can see it's kind of symbolic of the CCP when they went and destroyed Tibetan culture. They destroyed Buddhas and all kind of things, similar to how the Taliban blew up the Buddhas as well. And so it's kind of like a little bit of ode to that. So you're like, are you sneaking a little bit of like Western, like, hey, China. But at the same time, oh, China, here's a Chinese guy. Like, which crowd do you sell it to, you know? So it's just a little bit of fun there. But it's an evil temple, so I don't think the CCP is going to see it that way. But you could kind of see it that way a little bit if you think about it on a deeper level. But I think it's a really fun movie. The movie is totally sold out, so I'd recommend it. It's really fun to see, at least in the movie theater. These kind of movies are like action movies you want to see in the movies, I think. There's a lot of different like dramas and crime novels, and you don't really necessarily see them in the movies. But a Marvel movie is definitely one of those that is worth going to the movies and seeing because of all the special effects. If you'd like to subscribe, you can subscribe below. And I'll see you in the next movie review. Thanks for watching, guys.